Hello, it's Karen here. Thank you for joining me. Today I'd like to show you two techniques. One with the splatter that we've already done before, excuse me, and another technique which is just enabling you to just get nice and loose and free with the florals. So first of all, we'll start with the new technique that I haven't shown you yet. Today I'm going to be using my round Princeton Neptune paintbrush, and also I'm going to be using my Newton and Windsor watercolour paints. I've got two pieces of paper that are 150 GSM watercolour paper. So I'll just set this one aside and here we go. So first of all, we activate our brush in the water, and today I've mixed up a very loose watery watercolour of a lovely violet purple colour. And what we're going to do is we're going to be doing two main blooms with a bud. So first of all, we're just going to be putting in a very watery watercolour paint. We're just going to drop 3 dots, make them nice and watery. So you'll have 3 dots on your watercolour paper, and then what we're going to do, using the side of our brush, we're just going to push up, okay, and as you can see, just getting that round. Then we're going back into the palette and we're going to load up our paint with a creamier consistency of paint, and we're just, where we put those 3 dots, we're just going to now offer some of those lovely creamier paints, that colour paint, and just drop that in, okay? And again, we're just going to go into our very diluted watercolour paint, and we're going to give it another lovely 3 dots of paint. Now you can put your 3 dots in any sequence that you like, but and then just pick them up and pull them in, okay? And then again, we're just going to pick up a little creamier paint from the palette and put it into our diluted paint, and then just offer that in there. Okay, if you want to go in a bit more to give a bit more colour, that's great. It's now giving you quite a nice starburst kind of effect. The paint is travelling really nicely across the paper. Now, if you want to take a bit of your kitchen paper, I'm just going to take out the centre of this one because my paints run into the centre of my bloom, and I just want to take that out. So again, go back into your watery watercolour, and then I think we'll put a bud in here, and we're just going to do a cup shape. We're not going to be too fussed about getting it absolutely right. We want some lovely soft sweeping motions of our brush, and then just drop in a little bit more of that creamier paint at the bottom of our bud. Okay, go back in and just offer a bit more paint. Rinse your brush out and make sure that you've got a nice clean brush, making sure you've got rid of all that purple paint, because that's quite a strong colour, and that can, if you've still got it on your paintbrush, that can cause a little bit of a problem. I'm just going to go back into a really, really loose consistency, and I'm just going to put a little bit in there, and just maybe a little bit in there, and just swing that round there. Okay. Right, let's rinse our brushes out again, and then I'm going to go into sap green again. I'm putting that on my from the pan into the palette, and I'm making a really nice, as you can see, really nice watery watercolour. Now that's a really nice mid-green. Just don't forget to tip the edge off so you've got all that excess paint off. And then take a look of where you want your stem to go. I'm going to just drop mine in there and just bring it down. Again, loading my brush up, making sure that I've got enough paint on the tip of my brush, going up into the bottom of the bowl of the flower, and then just bringing down. Again, I'm going to go in and then just go like that. Okay, so now we've got our stems in. Now we can see what we're actually working with. So now I'm going to go into sage green and just put a little bit, making my paint slightly creamier, slightly thicker. And then on the tip of my brush, just dipping off the edge with a point down, I'm just doing light stroking motions up. Okay, because we don't want really thick leaves on this plant, on this flower. We just want some really nice soft leaves, just to give our painting a little bit more interest. Okay, I'm going back into sap green again, and I'm just going to just anchor my bloom to the stem so they look like they belong together. And then I'm going to go into lemon yellow, making sure that my brush is completely clean. So I don't want a yellow green. I want a nice sharp green. And then with one dip, just offer it in, just the slightest of touches, and we're just dropping that in. If it runs, brilliant, that's lovely. That'll give you a lovely soft feel to your watercolour painting. Now, I'm quite happy with that, but you can stop there if you'd rather. But I'm going to, as we like to do, we're going to splatter. So just go into sage green and just give it a little splatter at the bottom. And maybe if you want to do a little bit at the top there, that's fine. So there we have it. That's our quick, soft, free little painting, and that's that one. So I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to do our splatter painting. Now this is one, we've done this one before, but this time we're going to use red. Now red can be quite a tricky colour to control because it's got quite a lot of pigment in it, and you can get into a bit of trouble with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our cadmium scarlet and cadmium red, and I'm just going to activate those. I'm loading my size 4 brush up, nice and loaded, and I'm just going to splatter. Now this time, instead of just splattering everywhere, I'm going to think about where I'm going to put my bloom. So I've decided that I'm going to put a bloom there where you can see where I've splattered, and I'm going to splatter in the middle there because that's where I'd like my next bloom to go, and I'm just going to drop one in there. Whoops, that was a bit in there. Okay, so as you can see, there's a cluster of splatters, so that will give us a basis of where we're going to start moving our paint around. So here we go. So now we've done that, we're just going to go into our splatters, and with lovely soft strokes, we're just going to make lovely petally shapes, not worrying too much about petal shapes and leaves. We're just going to have fun with this, okay? Nice and loose. Nice and loose. And again, okay, that's nice and quick and simple. Don't worry about thinking, oh, this looks a bit, I've gone too far up or too far. Don't worry. If you just want to put another little mark in there, absolutely. You know, if don't forget, white space is our friend, so that will give us the illusion of petals. So rinse our brush out, and don't forget to make sure you've got a paper towel close to you. And then we're going to go into cadmium red. Now, cadmium scarlet. Now this is a very deep colour, so we're going to load our brush up, and we're just going to drop. We're just going to drop this lovely, rich, warm colour just at the base of our blooms. Okay, just drop that in there. There's no scrubbing motion, or we're not pushing or pulling the paint. We're just dropping it in. Our watercolour paper is lovely and wet, so it's really receptive to the paint. So just drop that in, and just let the watercolour paint flow. Okay, as you can see that moving, and we just want to make sure that moves around nicely. If you want to go back in for a stronger colour, absolutely do. But don't be tempted to go backwards and forwards. Nice, easy, soft strokes. Okay, rinse your brush out. Make sure that you've got all that red off, because red and green don't make a nice colour. So make sure you've got a nice clean brush. Use your paper towel, get rid of the residue water. Now go back into your sap green just on the top. Go into your palette and just pick up a little bit of paint and water. And with a nice looser consistency of paint, just go up to the base of your bloom and just pull down. Nice decisive movements on this, and that will just anchor our blooms to the stem. Go back in and put a deeper colour of the sap green and let that bleed up into the head of the bloom. That will give us the illusion of the stem is actually attached to the base of the flower. Okay. Now again, we'll use these lovely soft leaf shape. We don't want anything too thick, or we just want this nice and loose and soft looking. Okay. Now I think it would be nice if we put in maybe a bud. So go back in, make sure that your paintbrush is damp, and then go back into your watercolour, your sap green in your palette, and then decide where you would like to put your bud. So here we go. We're just going to pop a little bud in there. It's a nice oval shape, and then just bring her down. Very simple, just nice clean movements. A nice oval shape, and then I'm working down with my brush. I'm just lightly bringing my brush round like so, and then just bring her down. I'm going to go back into sap green with a thicker consistency of paint. Just take the excess off in my palette there, and I'm just dropping it in, just to give it just to anchor it into the stem. Okay. And if you'd like to put another bud in there, why not? Let's put another one in there. Now, if you decide that you're working from the top, bottom up to the top, absolutely fine. But don't forget that we need to anchor it to our stem. Okay, go back in and just give it a deeper colour, just so we can see that that bud came from that stem, and it just gives it a nicer feel. Now, these poppies, because I think they're lending themselves to being poppies, are looking quite nice now. Now, you can leave them like this and call it done, or you can go into your water again and rinse out your brush and splatter. Now, this is if you're really tempted to go back in and start fiddling about with your blooms, it's best that you probably leave it. So go back in and just do a little splatter. That will hopefully stifle your urge to try and put other things and twiddle about with it. Now, I'm just going to take this piece of paper off because it's got splatters everywhere. Now, I'll put the two together. Now, I'm calling these done. Now, as you can see, they're two really sweet, quick, fun, easy little watercolours. I hope you do try them. They are fun to do. And don't forget, let me know how you're getting on, and leave me a message. And if you've got any questions or any questions that you need answers, I'm really happy to answer them. Anyway, take care. Lovely to have you with me today. See you soon. Bye.